Happy holiday. Happy holiday. May the merry bells keep ringing. Happy holiday to you. It's the holiday season, and Santa Claus is coming round. The Christmas snow is white on the ground. When Santa gets into town, he'll be coming down the chimney down. He'll have a big fat pack upon his back, and lots of goodies for you and for me. So leave a peppermint stick for old Saint Nick hanging on a Christmas tree. It's the holiday season, so hoop-dee-doo and dickory-dock, and don't forget to hang up your sock, 'cause just exactly at 12 o'clock he'll be coming down the chimney down. He'll have a big fat pack upon his back, and lots of goodies for you and for me. So leave a peppermint stick for old Saint Nick hanging on a Christmas tree. It's the holiday season, so hoop-dee-doo and dickory-dock, and don't forget to hang up your sock, 'cause just exactly at 12 o'clock he'll be coming down the chimney, coming down the chimney, coming down the chimney down. Happy holidays. Happy holidays. Happy holidays. Happy holidays. May the merry bells keep ringing. Happy holiday to you.
Friday evening, everybody. Chris McDonald with you on this Friday night, the 8th day of December. As I was getting ready to bring Branco on, that Hanukkah song started playing. I thought Branco thought he'd been transported to another universe. He was already making Dumbfoolery Cartoon 2 for McDonald and putting a hat on his head like, what the H is this? But this is not Hanukkah night. This is Tony Branco night. Tony Branco popcorn night, Friday night with the McFiles. Buddy, it's good to see you tonight. It's been a while. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Just a little cray-cray. You know, I had eye surgery yesterday, and there is no truth to the rumor that there was a poll taken that the majority of people that listen to this show was hoping that they cut the tongue out instead of fixing the eyes, but they didn't quite get that wish yesterday.
Didn't get down that far, huh?
Didn't get down that far, brother. Absolutely. It's good to see you tonight, man. Listen, go ahead. I do want to start asking you tonight. We were talking about right before the show. Big news overnight. Hunter Biden got indicted last night. Around 8 o'clock, around this time. We were getting ready to go on the show when all this happened. And it looks like it's 9 federal charges against him with tax. It's basically the same case that got tossed in Delaware. Feds are refiling it. He's already agreed to plead guilty to misdemeanors along that, but these are felonies because this is evasion. But look, I don't wish harm on anybody, and this is not a personal vendetta of mine against Hunter Biden. My issue with him and his daddy is the fact that they've betrayed this country and they've gotten foreign money from these countries that hate us and want to destroy us. And their policy, his dad's policies, are basically paralleling the destruction of this country. And, you know, as the old famous saying goes, you follow the money. And if the money leads back to China, and the money leads back to these nations that are coming across our border, and the money's leading to special interest groups that are screwing this country over worse than a hooker on Dollar Day, and I don't mean to be so blunt about it, but that's about the only thing I can figure it out. But I'm just saying that is what my issue is with this. Look, a personal matter with family, that's a whole different issue. This is not personal. This is country, Tony. This is national security. Mm-hmm. My question to you is, what do you think would be happening tonight in the media and probably all over the internet? I mean, we probably wouldn't even have space on the internet to cover the videos if this was Donald Trump Jr. I'm telling you, the hypocrisy of this media. I believe if this country goes down, the media is going to have blood on its hands for this nation because of what it's done in this dereliction of duty and calling good evil and evil good and hiding and being silent about things that are actually bad and evil and lying about things that are good. Now, that's my opening salvo tonight on a Friday night, not a bad one. What says Tony Branco?
Well, what I say to that is that we all know what they would be doing if this was Don Jr. or Eric, because what they have done to them already. They ran them through the mill over nothing. They had no evidence, and he was in hearing after hearing for hours, under investigation over frivolous things, and they had him guilt. They had them both guilty. They have the whole family guilty over a hoax. So we know exactly what the media wouldn't be covering for Don Jr. or Eric or Trump, and they have been covering for these guys, I don't know, since the beginning, and they've been trying to impale Trump over and over again over frivolous charges, and they're still trying it. The whole D.C. cabal is in on this. Very few people go to Washington and stay there for their country. Even McCarthy's leaving.
He's leaving.
Now, if he really cared about the country, he would stay until he could get a replacement. But he doesn't care about the country. No. He cares about himself, and he's butthurt because they kicked him out, so he's going to show them by taking his ball and going home. Those aren't people that care about the country. I don't care how they try to patter like I need to spend more time with my family. No, these are people who could care less. Biden sold the country. You're right. Biden sold the country out. I don't think that his son cares about the country. He just cares about hookers and blow.
Absolutely.
These are evil people.
Yes.
They're evil to the core because of what they've done to this country, selling it out for Chinese money, Ukrainian money, and that's what that whole Ukraine war is about. I think it's about protecting Biden's butt from the money he's been getting in there laundering.
Absolutely.
They have no accountability for the money they're sending over. We don't know how many is going to oligarchs or going back to Biden or going back to the Democrat Party, and they sit there with these big Cheshire cat grins on their face every time they mention more money to Ukraine. I'm beyond. You know, we all are.
Well,
we all are frustrated.
I'm frustrated, Tony, but you know, it's funny. And I don't get much blowback on this network about stuff like this, but every now and then I'll get somebody will say something to me along the lines, well, it's, you know, you shouldn't be taking personal jabs at the president's son because you got to respect the office. And look, I'm all about respecting the office, but you know something? This SOB in the office don't respect the office. And his son don't respect the office. They don't respect the office. They don't respect a damn thing about this country. No. I was listening this afternoon, and you mentioned the hookers and the blow. And I think it was somebody, Cavuto or McCallum or somebody on Fox, and they were actually reading the indictment. And this guy who's indicting him, he literally lists in this indictment the amount of money that Hunter Biden spent on hookers, blow, trips. He was carrying, they said he was going to ATMs and getting millions out, Tony. Millions in cash. Mm-hmm. Brother, I get scared if I carry $100 bill in my pocket. He was carrying wads of $1 million in cash. Can you imagine that? And then we're to believe that there's no there there. This is not important. And that's what the Dems are out there decrying tonight, that this is a political witch hunt. No, this ain't a political witch hunt. This is to find out what the hell has been paid and what money has been given to Daddy Joe and to pimp Daddy Joe to sell this country down the toilet. That's what we're after. It's not a witch hunt. It's only a witch hunt if we were doing it for political gain. It's not political gain. And see, this is exactly what they do to Trump. Because I will say that most of what's going on to Trump tonight with Trump is a witch hunt.
Yeah, it is a witch hunt because it's frivolous charges.
Frivolous.
Because if this, here's all, the only thing you have to ask yourself in this whole, all of his cases that are going against him, the only thing you have to ask yourself, would they be doing this if he was a Democrat?
Absolutely.
No. That's the only question you have to ask. You know they wouldn't be doing this. None of this would happen. His kids wouldn't have been investigated. You know, you put that D after their name, and he's a saint. Right off the bat, you wouldn't get any of the DOJ. You wouldn't get any of the Soros prosecutors going after him.
No.
Well, that tells me a lot right there. You know, that's the only question you have to ask.
Why do you think they're basically serving up Menendez on a platter? Because he's been an exception to this. I've been shocked, honestly. That
Are they, though? Are they?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, they found gold bars in his house, but, you know, Gold Bob is claiming, swearing up and down, those just fell out. He's claiming that was an early present from Santa, that Santa Claus delivered those gold bars, that wasn't, those just appeared. I don't know. It's a miracle, Joe. It's a miracle. I don't know how those gold bars got in my house.
My wife found them. And they get rid of Santos. Santos wasn't convicted of anything, which sets a precedent. It sets a precedent for the Democrats now.
Yes,
now,
it does.
If they don't like somebody, he said a lie. We don't like that lie, so now we can get rid of him. And I don't know how the Republicans were so stupid. I don't like Santos. I think he's a dumbling. He's a clown.
He is.
But here's the thing: you're setting precedents. Next time, you know, I know a lot of congressmen that should have gone before him. How about Schiff?
Absolutely.
How about Pelosi? How about
Maxine Waters?
Yeah.
All
Maxine
of them.
Waters. They have done worse than this guy did. They lied worse than this guy. That Schiff sat on there and lied about Russia collusion. He lied about the Ukraine thing. Everything that comes out of his mouth has been a total lie and fabrication. But I don't see him being packed down there. I don't see him taking a vote to get rid of to get him out of there.
Do you think that goes back to McDaniel? Do you think that she was behind that push, or do you think that this was something within the party? Because, see, this is the thing that's just driving me crazy about the Republicans. And we've talked about this numerous times on this network with you and others. Somebody like a Bob Menendez can basically steal gold bars and in the millions of value and get a slap on the wrist, and the Dems let him stay in Congress and keep voting. Republicans will sell their soul to the devil and basically throw out again, I'm with you. It's not a personal thing to me. I don't really care for Santos. Wouldn't have voted for him, but that's his district voted for him. And I heard a commentator say this, and I thought the commentator made the most sense about him. That district, for whatever reason, chose George Santos. And when you kick somebody out of Congress like that, because he's only one of like 5 people in history that got expelled. And 3 of those were war criminals during the freaking Civil War.
Absolutely.
And
he wasn't convicted.
And he was never convicted, Tony. You just basically screw the people. And the will of the people are basically pissed on. And they're saying, you know, we don't care what you people vote out there. And like you said, it set a precedent. And I blame Roma McDaniel to a degree because she is part of the RNC. And I see the RNC's fingerprints all over this crap.
It has been a disaster. Trying to get more debates and getting them on CNN. She's not asking Newsmax or American First News. She's trying to get them on CNN. Why would you want to give, which is the enemy of the people as far as I'm concerned, CNN any more ratings? Not that they're going to get a lot of ratings from the debates anyway, because I guess every time they do a debate, their ratings keep going down. I think the Brady Bunch on reruns is getting more than anything. But and she has been a disaster, and they keep blaming Trump for the election disasters. But she's been in charge. she's been Mitch McConnell is the one that's been allocating money to certain candidates.
Absolutely.
And he's the one. And Ronald McDonald has been allocating money to certain candidates. If she would have backed the MAGA candidates, the Trump candidates, we'd have a bigger margin in the House. We may have taken the Senate.
I believe that.
Because Mitch McConnell and Ronald McDonald is playing games. We're losing. And I think Vivek, I think that's how you spell it.
Ramaswamy. Yeah.
Ramaswamy said it very clearly. He stated, he says, you lost the 26, you lost the 20.
Come on.
20, you lost the 22. He says, maybe you should just resign and get somebody else in there.
Well, and it's not just the way that they lost it, Tony. They lost 23 because the governors went south in Virginia. Virginia lost the House. And, you know, there's a lot of, and again, I was watching this losing Fox Network, this FNC, I got a term for them. I cannot repeat on my Friday Night Family show, but I want to, the blanking news network, but whatever. I'm just using Christopher Wray's word, blinking, okay? I'll just use blinking, and you can fill in the blank. You can fill in the blank.
Okay,
but
I have already.
Yeah, I'm giving you inspiration, Branco, for all these great new cartoons for you to put on.
I filled in the blank and I'm going to wash my mouth out with soap when I get done here.
But Brian Kilmeade was out there screaming at him today about how he viewed the Ukraine war. And look, I don't even like Ramaswamy, to be honest with you. I think he's a dweeb.
Yeah.
But he was basically the only one on that stage that had some balls the other night to call this crap out, and I have to salute him for that.
He's standing in for Trump, I feel like.
I do too.
I feel like he's going out and going to say, what would Trump say to this? What would Trump come out here and do? He would slam these people, and this is how he would slam them, and he's coming out and do it. So he's actually a stand-in for Trump.
I don't agree with that.
Feels he has a chance to win the primary. I don't think he thinks any of them have a chance of it, but he may have a chance to have a career within the Republican Party by saying, or the MAGA Party, actually, the MAGA side of the Republican Party, by standing in and standing up for Trump.
Do you believe that DeSantis is ever going to get traction in Iowa? I was listening today. Nikki Haley is right on his heels for second. It's coming down to three people: Trump, Nikki Haley, and Ron DeSantis. And I've had a lot of variety of opinion from people about whether Trump needs to make nice and put him on the ticket. Trump's ego is too big. I just don't see him doing it, and I don't know if it'd even be a good idea. But I
don't see it.
I think it's Trump, man. My vote's for Trump right now. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I agree with everything Trump says either. I mean, I don't. But of the three candidates, he would get my vote 1,000,000 times and twice on Sunday. I think Ron DeSantis, if he would have just taken a breath in 24 and said, look, went to Trump even and said, listen, I want to run for president, but I want you to have the chance to run for re-election. I'm here to back you with whatever you need to win Florida, to win the constituency, and I'm going to back you. And then tell Trump, because it's the same thing basically that Obama did with Hillary. When Hillary got beat in 2008, Obama went to her. What did he do? He made her Secretary of State. As they say, bring your enemies closer. And he said, look, I'll back you in 2016. Not that it helped, but I think that Trump would have backed him 1,000,000% in 28, Tony, and said, you know something, Ron did the stand-up thing. And I think he would have been a shoo-in for 28. That's just
here's the thing. These people, DeSantis, McCarthy, all these rhinos, and the other contestants for the primary, they don't know who the enemy is.
That's true.
We out here, we know who the enemy is. We know it's the Democrats. We know it's the communists. We know it's the woke socialists, and who are winning in a lot of different battlegrounds. Our education, our bureaucracies, our Justice Department. These people seem to be blind to who the enemy is. And they're going like these never-Trumpers. They should unite behind the front runner, and that is Trump. If they all united behind Trump and got him in there would be hell to pay with the Democrats and what they've been doing.
Absolutely.
There would be reprisals legally, constitutionally, and this deep state could get rooted out. But these people are oblivious. They just don't know who the enemy is. They're just thinking about their own careers and their own pocketbooks.
Yeah. I want to put up a cartoon, one of many that you've done recently, but this one really caught my attention because I want to talk about it a little bit tonight. We did a late show last night, or a show just myself, and I did a lot of new stuff, and one of the stories that we covered was this Ray Paul, the Democrat from Washington, that went on CNN and could not with clarity say that Hamas rapes were happening. She was literally denying, basically alluding to the fact Israel was lying about it, and that she was trying to shift blame on Israel like all these anti-Semites do. And you did a wonderful cartoon, and I want to put that cartoon up here. Let me see. Here's this screen here, and it's the first slide there. You've got Trump said, grab them by the something, destroy them. That's the International Women's Rights Group. And then Hamas rapes and murders of hundreds of Israeli women, international right groups. There's nobody at that podium. And Tony, there's nobody at that podium in the media tonight. No. They're not decrying rape. There's spiritual voices out there that are not decrying the rape, and it burns me to the core.
The problem is they're looking for white supremacists everywhere. You know, they can't find them, but they know they're there, and they're looking under every rock. And that's what these liberals and these leftists have in their heads. They're run by their ideology. They're not run by their common sense or their brain power. They're very smart people. But here's the problem, is when you have your intellect clouded by ideology like these people do, all you see is what fits that ideology. It's like a cult. So they're out there looking for white supremacists instead of looking at what's coming across their border. They're out there looking for white supremacists when you have people threatening Jewish people on campuses and people in fear in this country, but still they still beat that white supremacist drum beat, and they try to pigeonhole almost every shooting. The first thing the media comes out and says is, well, he may have ties to white supremacy, and they find out he's a Muslim or he's a a Hispanic, and they soften the language by calling them white Hispanics to try to get it. They're always trying to tie it to that. So they have an agenda, and they all get the memos every day of what we want to do and how we want to do it and how we want to win. And they want to win with the language and get people convinced through the media that this is the way things are.
Speaking of the colleges, did you see the hearing Wednesday of the University of Penn lady, the MIT dean, and Harvard? Yeah. And I have to give some credit to Elisa Stefanik. I think she did not let them wiggle out of this lack of moral clarity, and basically point blank asked him, does your colleges accept the fact that calls for genocide against the Jewish people is basically protected by free speech? You know, and I know that there is a fine line between free speech and calling for the genocide of a human race. I would not be protecting that free speech on my college if it was me. And I'll tell you why. Because these same colleges, Tony, let me tell you something. Let's just say that MIT invited Tony Branco, the great award-winning cartoonist, and I mean that with all respect, because I really am grateful you're on our network, because I think that you're one of the best cartoonists in the world. I do. But you're conservative. You put conservative stuff out there. And if MIT brought Tony Branco into their auditorium, you can be guaranteed that if one asshole, excuse me, all my virgin listeners out here, if one liberal asshole at that college stood up and said, well, what he's saying is causing me to have trauma. It's causing me to feel bad, and he's threatening us here at MIT. Do you not believe that the school administrators would haul Tony Branco off in 5 minutes and say, you can't come because your influence is affecting us nationally, but yet that their kids can walk down the freaking street of their college on the dorm rooms and scream and kill the effing Jews, kill the Jews, genocide to the Jews, genocide, and we don't want to hinder free speech at our college. It's such hypocrisy, and I hope they lose billions. I hope it's not just millions.
They lost
they lose millions.
$100 million from somebody's alma mater. I'm sorry, my tongue but he just canceled it. Yeah.
I saw it. Yeah, $100 million. That was an expensive. I put it like that. That's the most expensive congressional testimony the president of Penn ever did. And on our late show tonight, if I feel up to it, I got to play her response because it was like people was reading through it 10 miles away that it was nothing but pandering to the donor because she come back and says, I lost focus yesterday during the congressional hearing. And we categorically...
She lost focus.
Yeah, she lost focus all right. It's called the wallet. And she's probably scared for her job. Would you fire her if you were the regents? I would fire all three of them. I would.
Well, yeah, because you put the shoe on the other foot with it. If they'd have said that about black people...
Oh, my Lord.
What do you think?
Oh, my Lord, Tony. Oh, my Lord, man.
It's okay to say that it's good to exterminate all black people. If they'd have said that.
Oh, my Lord.
They would have all lost they wouldn't be working there today, right?
No.
They'd have fired them overnight.
And I'm going to tell you something else. I think the Justice Department would be down there investigating them for hate crimes. Yeah. They would be investigating them for a hate crime.
This all comes down to the vote, Chris. This is about the vote.
Come on, buddy.
They know that they got a big voting block in the Muslim section of this country. And that's what they're trying to play a little bit of thread the needle and maneuvering here, not totally condemning Israel, but not totally supporting them either. And there we go back to they have no core convictions at all. It's about money, it's about votes, and it's not about the American people. And that there's very few people in Washington, D.C. where it's about us. It's about what's best for America and what's best for its people. Yep. They're all thinking selfishly, and that's not a good ending to that road.
What did you think? I'm going to show a few of your cartoons after this, and we might even open up for a few questions tonight before I let you go. But what did you think about Ray's comments yesterday about the threats to the nation? I found that, again, hypocritical. It's almost like Ray wants us to believe that the FBI woke up last week and all of a sudden had this come to Jesus minute and realized that the country's in danger. And my question to Ray is, the country's been in freaking danger for a decade, bro. It's been a decade. It's been 8 years of danger. And ever since the border has been opened up by Mr. Joe F. Biden, and every freaking illegal entity and alien in the world has been allowed to come in, and every country that hates us has been allowed to come in. Of course, it's a dangerous world. So where was the FBI? I tell you where the FBI was, Tony. They were arresting moms. They were arresting pro-lifers. They were stalking January 6th and infiltrating the January 6th folks. They were so busy with this woke stuff. Woke stuff.
We got to get them white supremacists.
Got to get them white supremacists.
Those white supremacists taking selfies in the Capitol.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chauffeured around in there by the police. But here's the thing about Christopher Wray. People have to understand, it's about funding. So what better way to get more funding than to come out there and say, there's alarm bells all over. We need more money. I'm not saying there isn't alarm bells.
No, I'll agree with that. Yeah.
You can't have an open border with 7 million people pouring across the border from all kinds of countries that hate us and not have some alarm bells going off. But he's never mentioned it before. But now that he's in jeopardy and now that they're trying to pass a bill to fund the FBI, all of a sudden, there's alarm bells. Everywhere I'm looking, there's alarm bells. So I question his motive there. I'm not saying it isn't true, but it's like you said, it's been true for a long time.
I said that last night. I said, look, I'm not even going to disagree with what he said. I do believe we're in danger. But we're in grave danger tonight, probably more so than we've ever been as a nation. And then on the flip side of this, you've got the Department of Defense head, Johnson, who is, I have to tell you, I was asking my audience last night, I said, when you lay your head down at night, do you feel the warm fuzzies that you're being protected by this bunch of clowns in D.C. between the FBI and the Department of Defense and the National Security Agency and the CIA? I don't have the warm fuzzies, Tony. I wake up every morning, check it outside my window, make sure there ain't Chinese troops on my front yard.
Do you kind of hope there is a shadow government back there that's watching this stuff and going, we got this, but these idiots we're in the background. We see what's going on, and we're not going to allow it to happen. You'd almost kind of wish that. I don't want it to be that way, but these guys have no clue. They're letting balloons fly over the country.
Yeah.
They're letting they're all out. Instead of beefing up our military, they're beefing up transgenderism and abortion. How's that going to make our military stronger? Have a bunch of men in dresses. I mean, we're a joke. We're a joke to the Chinese. We're a joke to Putin and the Russians. It's just these people are not serious. They're like, again, I go back. They're brainwashed, and their ideology is clogging any kind of common sense or intellect they may have.
Got a political question for you. Two of them, real quick, and I'm going to show you some cartoons. Is the country in bad enough shape that people have finally come to the realization that President Trump was doing it right? Now, I'm not saying that he did everything right, but on some fundamental policies, the economy, I thought his policy toward Israel was good for the most part. The border, Tony, I've been down there 3 times. I'm going back in January, but that border, look, when I went down there under Trump, those agents down there, they wasn't excited, happy, but they were at least happy that the federal government, they didn't think their state government, the federal government had their back. I went down there in January 21 or April of 21. Morale had taken a 180-degree turn. And we had Victor Avila on Monday night, a great friend, and he's a former federal agent. He goes down there. He lives in Eagle Pass. 14 suicides by border agents in the last 6 to 8 months because the morale is so low and they're so beat down as to what's happening. It's beginning to affect our agents. Now, question to you, is the country so sick of Biden? Has this reached a crisis point to where ultimately it may not matter who runs in 24, that whoever the Republican is, and nothing's a shoe-in with this bunch because they cheat like you know what, but do you think the country has finally had enough? Or do you think that it's going to take more pain before we come to our blinking senses?
Well, I do think the country overall, even if they don't realize it, a lot of people just aren't political. I mean, you got 350 million people, or what is it, 330 million people in the country.
Yeah.
How many of those actually vote?
It's a good question.
So
it's a great question.
You know, you had 81 million people vote for Biden, 75 million vote for Trump. So that's definitely not 330 million. So people are feeling it. They just don't know why, and people are not all people. Some people are just so pliable. They just go along. Oh, that sucks. Oh man, my gas is $5 a gallon, $6 a gallon. You know, but that is why it's very important for us to communicate why those things are. And the fact is that it is Trump, and why I'm voting for Trump is for a lot of reasons. Not only the economy, gas prices, those are kind of selfish reasons, but security, national security, things where no new wars, energy independence. The border scares the hell out of me what they're allowing to come through. I know it's intentional.
Absolutely.
But people are waking up to that too. So if the only way that's going to, I feel, the only way we're going to turn the ship around is not through DeSantis, because I believe DeSantis may do some good things, but he's not going to turn the ship around.
No.
He's going to be pushed around.
Great point.
Already been there, done that. He knows where the problems are, and that's why they're so damn afraid of it.
I think he's pissed off too, Tony. I think there's an invaluable intangible with Trump. They've done him so bad over the last year. These people don't realize they have. Look, let me tell you something. Would you not? And it's not about revenge to me. This is not about settling scores. But you go into office, and I think, again, one of his biggest mistakes, first time around, he did not take the swamp seriously. I don't think he makes that mistake number 2. I don't think this go around he's going to take anything for granted. And look, can you imagine a lame duck Trump for 4 years that don't have to worry about election? And he just basically goes in there with a broom and says, you know something, it's time to clean freaking house. and he gets rid of this swamp like we've never seen it.
But he's also privy to how the swamp works.
That's exactly
he made
right.
Some big mistakes on the people he picked. Like
that's a wonderful thing.
There's a few different people he picked to help run the country, and they were fighting against him the whole way.
All the way.
Realize.
Ranch
He knows the people he should be listening to. He made some mistakes about the DOJ. He needs somebody
that's a great point.
In that DOJ that's going to turn the ship. We need to right the ship, and righting the ship just doesn't mean you jerk it over. You need to get the right people. And see what Obama did when he came into office. He started strategically putting people in the bureaucracy that thought the way he did. Lois Lerner.
Absolutely.
He had his wingman Holder, and he had all these different people.
Susan Rice.
They in turn hired more people that thought the way they did. So Obama is so entrenched in that White House and in the bureaucracies, the DOJ, the FBI, and it's to get those people to. And I think that it's possible that the FBI director, he just said his name,
Christopher Wray.
Christopher Wray. I think he, like Lindsey Graham said, he said, I don't think you're political. I think you're just, you're subject to some of the people that are in there. And until we can get right that ship, till we can weed out those people, get people in places of power, like get in the DOJ, get people as the FBI director that's got some kahunas to get and hire people to weed these people out and start focusing on what government is there for. We are the government. The government has become a beast within itself that has turned its guns towards the people to protect itself.
Yeah.
And we need to turn that around somehow.
Folks, you're watching a very special live McFiles Friday night with my dear buddy, Tony Branco, award-winning cartoonist, Comically Incorrect, comicallyincorrect.com. What a great website. Hey, listen, I want to show you a couple of your cartoons. I picked out the most 5 recent. This one was a great one about Jack Smith. I'm going to save Elon for the last because Elon made me laugh. But this one was a good one, too. Are you now, or have you ever liked and reposted a Trump tweet, U.S. Special Counsel Jack Smith, the FBI, police state, D'Souza, they're going after everybody. Tony, this has become a police state, bro. Look, I'm concerned. I am. I know that there are some people in government that are doing their best to stop this. But there is too many, unfortunately, and I think you used the term a while ago, about DeSantis getting run over. The people that do have the power to stop it are getting run over by the people that want this police state. That bothers me. That scares me. And that tweet, I thought that picture summed it up because that's what they're concerned about. They're not concerned about 50 million illegals in the country. They're not concerned about Hamas raping Israeli women and men. And they're not worried about what's going on in the world, the Ukraine situation. They're not worried about any of that. They're worried about whether you tweeted out something about Donald Trump. They're worried whether you tweeted out something about J6. They're worried whether you tweeted something out about the border and the truth about Hunter Biden or Joe Biden. And then they come to you, knock on your door, and call you an insurrectionist and everything else. And the
Republicans turn around and let them keep the FISA situation.
Absolutely.
How do you do that? There are a few things that the Republican could have stood up and fought against, but they just go ahead and did a CR and allow them to keep rolling over the country. You know what it is? It's the Democrats run the Republican Party. They run the House. There's really no different. Pelosi's still running because it's her CR they are continuing. Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, and I'm with you about McCartney. I thought that was the most cowardly thing to do, to take off. Matt Gaetz called him out on it too. Again, he said, at least Pelosi stuck around. I mean, she had her butt handed to her with the speakership, but at least, say what you want to about Nancy Pelosi, say what you want to about the Democrats. They don't run. When the kitchen gets hot, they stick around. They stay in the kitchen and fight.
I don't like what they're fighting for, but they're fighters.
They're fighters.
We don't have anybody
Perfectly
on
said.
our side. We have no speaker. We have no leadership that's willing to fight the way the Democrats are willing to fight over evil. We have evil here, and evil is willing to go tooth and nail every second, 24/7, towards our values, but we have nobody over here standing up for our values, willing to fight just as hard or harder. They just capitulate, and then it keeps going into more CRs, and the FBI. I mean, they go unscathed.
Yeah.
Till next year.
Till next year, brother.
What is that?
I want to pull up this other cartoon, and I found it very intriguing too. It's very good, well done, as all your work is. And this one here is basically, if I can get it, it's the one with the Hamas terrorists that. Let me see here if I can get it to download here. There it is, right? No, there it is, right there. Let me pull this in, Tony. This one, the Hamas terrorist is standing in the middle of the country. Says is from the river to the sea, coming to a country near you, from the Atlantic to the Pacific. And there's a little Christmas thing tied to that because there's a song from the Atlantic to the Pacific. I sing that song, Support Open Borders. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that we're on the brink of a severe, hard-hitting terrorist attack because of what's going on at the border and the Middle East? Because see, that I don't think people understand that the same people that are seeking to destroy Israel are looking at us next. Their goal is Israel first, and then the Sunday people next. The Sunday people are us, basically, Tony. Mm-hmm. That's who they are. What say you about that?
Well, we are the big Satan.
We are the big Satan.
Goal, whether or not they achieve, but they will. But they have the wherewithal to achieve mass terror. And when you have hundreds and hundreds of people from Iran or Afghanistan, and I mean, how many different countries that they found so many people on the terror watch list that they caught. But what about the ones they didn't catch? That's supposed to be 3 times as many. So I also heard where they found caches of weapons being smuggled into the United States. And then you have all these Chinese nationals, all men, all military age, coming in. I don't know how many hundreds of those have come in. So I don't know what's going on. We're such an open and free society, supposedly, unless you're white, straight and white, then they want to keep track of what you're doing.
Absolutely.
But, who's to say they don't have caches of weapons sometimes, just waiting for orders?
That's a wonderful question. It's a good point.
And I just don't think Biden and the Democrats, because of their ideology again and their cult-like behavior, all they see is their cult-like ideology, to where it clouds their brains, clouds their perception of what is dangerous. I don't know if they're actually seeing any of this. I don't see, there's got to be somebody in the government that's going, wait a minute, this is, like Ray said, there's alarm bells going off all over the place.
Yeah.
I hope he sees some of those.
Yeah.
And it's set up to protect us. I
hope. As I said, I wake up every morning and I peek out my door and hold my breath, hoping there's not a Chinese tank sitting in my front yard with a McFiles sticker on it saying, "We're coming for you, McDonald. We're coming for you."
And here's the clincher of all this: they're making the world a dangerous place for us to live.
Yes,
in.
they are.
What else? What are they going to do about that? They're going to take your gun so you can't protect yourself from it.
Well, I'll tell you what else. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say this. What also they're doing, and I heard, which I was trying to say a while ago, and I forgot my train of thought about Johnson. He really ticked me off yesterday. Not that he's not ticked me off before, but I really got fighting mad when I heard this. You know what? Basically, tell the world and basically threaten Congress, threaten America, and saying if you don't send money to the Ukraine, we're going to send your cousins, we're going to send your sons, we're going to send your daughters, we're going to send your kin over here to fight the Russians if you won't give the Ukraine money to fight them for us. And Tony, that's a fraudulent, I swear that whole thing reeks of extortion. It reeks of nothing but a fraudulent war.
These guys,
it's big time fraud.
These guys will do anything. They will cheat. They will steal. And I believe, I don't want to come around and say it, because I did a cartoon about it, but just look at what happened to JFK.
Yeah.
And don't tell me they're not thinking about it.
Oh,
Don't tell me
absolutely they are.
They haven't made plans around that.
You better
They're just
believe
trying
it.
to figure out a way to do it.
Do
I'm
you-
sorry, but these people are despicable.
Got a good question out of Facebook tonight. Cleo from Down Under. And I meant that this actually goes to my second half of my question a while ago about the big issue that you think is going to be the linchpin for the Dems. But her question sort of takes that to another level, and she says this. She says, do you believe, with the many varied views on Israel and the Democrat Party, do you think that Israel may be the very thing that just blows this party up? Because you've got some Dems that are breaking rank with the plantation, basically, and saying, you know something, what's going on in Israel is morally wrong. What's going on is evil and it's wicked, and they're standing up to this administration that won't clarify evil. And there are, and you said something a while ago about they need these certain districts. One of the biggest districts they're going to need is Dearborn, Michigan, to win Michigan. He's going to get thumped up there because those the Muslim basically lobby, they hate him right now for supporting Israel. You can't have it both ways. I think Israel may very well be the linchpin. I think Cleo's asking a great question.
That is a good question. Look at Alan Dershowitz, a lifelong Democrat.
Yes.
Was invited to Obama's birthday party. Obama was invited to his birthday party, and he just scathed him. He basically ended the conversation says, I'm sad I ever knew you. I'm sad that I ever, invited you to my birthday party. You're a despicable person, because Obama has turned, which we all knew. We all knew what Obama was. We knew this phony Christian thing that he would put out there with the Reverend Wright Church. He actually said that if it all come down to it, he would side with the Muslims.
Yeah.
Remember that speech? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, she makes a really good point, really good question, because in my humble opinion, I'm just a cartoonist, but I think that it's definitely splitting people apart, because there are a lot of, I never did understand it before, never understood why so many Jews were Democrats, because it just doesn't line up.
It's never lined up to me either. And I'm glad you brought that up, because the Democrat Party has been the most rabidly anti-Semitic party in history. They're the Nazis. I mean, the theology of the Democrat Party, Tony, is out of the Nazi playbook. I mean, the Nazis would have been applauding the Democrat Party. My God, and they vote for these Democrats like there's no tomorrow.
But Rush Limbaugh said something a few years ago. Well, he said it for a few years. He said the Jewish people of the United States are Democrats before they're Jewish. Look at Schumer. He's
a great
Jewish,
point.
isn't he? I mean,
that's a great point.
Schumer, there's so many of them that are, they'd shoot themselves in the ground or dig their own grave before they would turn away from the Democrat Party. It never made any sense to me. But there again, I go back to that they put their ideology and their cult behavior, and it clouds their better judgment. It clouds. It's a phenomenon I've just never been able to wrap my head around.
Ron Clemens, another good question. Very good question. It's an opinion question. Do you think Johnson was bluffing in that speech, or do you think they've really got plans on the table that if this thing don't get financed by Congress, that they're going to? Because I got to say this real quick. I've said this to the listeners a few times about my 21-year-old. My 21-year-old asked me just about 3 or 4 weeks ago, Tony. He out of the blue. My 21-year-old don't follow this stuff. I mean, he just don't. He's 21-year-old. I love him, but he's just not like his daddy. But when it comes to this stuff, and but he said, Dad, he said, my friends are telling me that they're thinking about instituting the draft. It concerned him. And I explained to him the world in about a 10-minute conversation. And I said, Caleb, I can't guarantee they're not. I don't know, because this warmongering machine. Ron Clemens has got a great question. I don't know if he's bluffing or not. I think that there's plans on the table for this. And he's asking your opinion. And I'm curious about your opinion, too. I don't think he's bluffing.
My opinion is this: they have decimated the military.
Yes, they have
thrown it full of wokeness to where your middle America people with families and sons that work farms and work jobs and pretty much conservative. You survey some of those guys, and they don't want any part of today's military. They're letting in men trying to be women. It's just the wokeness has saturated. They want to use the right pronouns. Who gives a damn about the pronouns when you're shooting it at somebody?
That's right.
What about an electric tank? You're talking about electric tanks where they have to cart a diesel generator?
Come on, buddy.
To charge the tank? These guys are goofy. They're not even reality. And then they're asking our young sons and daughters to join the military when they're just frivolous with their lives. You know, Trump, and here's the thing, Trump was trying to stop these endless wars. He was tired of seeing our kids get
exactly
killed.
Right, buddy.
So why would anybody want to join? So here's what they're going to do. They're going to have to start the draft because they decimated the military and nobody wants to join it. What do you do when nobody wants to join the military?
You draft.
You start the draft.
You do.
And it's all Biden and it's all these degenerate leftists that are in our government right now.
We got
Who
one.
wants to be a cop? Are they going to start drafting cops? Nobody wants to be a cop.
Yeah.
Because of what they've done to police.
This is not a question out of Facebook. This is a question from your host. A couple of things. Do you, this is an overseas question. Do you think Bibi Netanyahu is going to be able to withstand the world pressure on him to cow down to Hamas? Do you think he's got the kahunas to see this through? And do you think, what's the cost if he don't? Because I'm afraid the cost of him not doing it and not listening to America is far greater than if he cowers down and tries to cease fire and make this a humanitarian issue. That's what the left is trying to do to this war tonight. And Tony, these people were beheaded, babies burned, women gang raped. I heard yesterday men were gang raped, boys. Mm-hmm. The horror that Israel experienced in those kibbutzes on October the 7th, there is nothing in the 20th or the 21st century other than the Holocaust itself. And I don't even think the Holocaust, I better be careful how I say that because people will misread that. But what I'm going to say, it is very equal, if not on a higher plane, as far as brutality that the Holocaust was in 1937 to 1945. I'm not lessening the Holocaust. The Holocaust was a brutal assault on Jewish people. This was beyond words, bro. And look, if Benjamin Netanyahu listens to the world and backs away from destroying these you-know-whats, I think the world is gone. I think that he has opened the door to hell because they'll do this again. These bastards will do it again.
And then Netanyahu, Bibi knows this. He knows exactly what they're going to do again. He knows he has to stamp this stuff out. And I think Hamas went way over the top on this to the point where Israel has no choice. And what our job is on this side is to keep reminding them that these people, the atrocities that they did, and they're going to come back as well, Israel did atrocities, sure, they killed a lot of innocent people, only because they were attacked and because Hamas puts innocent people
in front,
and hides behind them and keeps attacking. If Hamas and the Palestinians stopped throwing rockets into Israel, this would stop, and Israel wouldn't be doing any of these things. But because they keep doing it, they hide it behind hospitals and innocent people. They have no choice. And that 1,400 people with babies being beheaded and bodies being burned and women being raped. They said their pelvis were broken.
Absolutely.
They were shot afterwards, and I haven't seen any of the graphic pictures. I've just seen some of the people that this happened to. And I'm just going, what kind of level of, this isn't even human.
No.
What kind of level of conditioning did you have to be worse than a dog, worse than a rat, worse than, even animals don't even work this way.
They don't.
I don't think Bibi has any choice.
Yeah, I don't either. But Tony, let me ask you this: in light of what you just said, why has there been people in this nation? And again, I'm laying it on the spiritual folks too. This ain't just a political situation. This is a spiritual matter. Mm-hmm. You got spiritual voices out there taking the side of Hamas, calling Israel evil, calling Israel occupiers, calling Israel every name in the book, denying that all this is true, claiming Israel's making this up, faking these pictures, faking these stories of atrocities, while the Hamas is believe in Hamas. Hamas is the figures that we're getting out of Hamas about this so-called humanitarian crisis in Gaza. It's not coming from Israel. It's coming from the Hamas people. And we're supposed to believe Hamas is telling us the truth about that, But you got people in this country that when it comes down to the butchers and Israel, they believe the butchers, they believe the murderers, they believe the baby killers, they believe the baby beheaders, they believe the gang rapists, they believe these people that have perpetrated these acts over the best friend we have in the Middle East, the only democracy that's out there. And
they only believe it because they want to. But if anybody comes to me and says, "Well, what side are you on?" They were there too, and blah blah blah. And what about a two-state solution? It says, I'm going to be on the side of the people who don't deliberately kill innocent people, who don't deliberately rape women and children, who don't deliberately kill people and hide behind them in case they're attacked like cowards. I'm going to be on the side of the people that don't do those things.
Bingo.
Because their hearts are in the right place, their minds are. And I'll be behind the people who react to those atrocities. And so...
It's good point, man. I'm with you. One other cartoon I want to show you. I got to pull this one in. This one made me laugh. This is probably my winner of the day. You just got to love Elon Musk. And it sort of goes to what we've been talking about tonight, this wokeness. The woke empire strikes again. Free speech and the Disney... I'm a Star Wars fan, and when I saw the Death Star in the form of a mouse, I had to sort of chuckle. And then Elon told him to go have babies after 9 months. I'll just use that analogy in the response. Go have babies. See, I can say something. I can get away with saying it without saying it. I said, go have babies. Just go have babies. But the woke empire strikes again. I thought he handled it pretty good myself. I think he said exactly what a lot of us want to tell him to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, I have to commend him because I think the guy is very smart, very brilliant, but he doesn't allow his agenda and his politics and the cult behavior to cloud his judgment. I think he's a realist. I think he sees things as they are, and he looks at the chess pieces and goes, "Wait a minute, this isn't good. This is bad. We're headed down a bad road where you can't get liberals or leftists or Democrats to think that way. They just think about tomorrow. They think about their power. They think about their left-wing agenda, what's going to give them more power. Whereas I'm not saying that Elon doesn't think in terms of what's going to benefit him. I think he's a broad thinker.
Yeah.
And he knew that if he didn't take over Twitter, he said, we're just done. Because we have no way to have freedom of speech. I'm not saying he's perfect.
No.
I mean, I think he's beholden to China somewhat for some of the things that he's doing. And so he has to be careful. But I think he's really worried about it. He's worried about AI and can I make one more point about
time. Go ahead.
The Israel thing.
Go ahead.
They keep saying, well, it should be proportional. Does that mean that Israel needs to go into Palestine and rape some women and behead some kids? And just the equal amount of women that they raped, do the Israelis go in and rape those amount of women and go in and behead a certain amount of babies and burn and make sure that it's proportional? Because you keep hearing that from Lebanon. Is their reaction proportional to what they did? Well, no, it can't be, because Israel doesn't rape people. I mean, they don't go in and rape people. They don't. And there's collateral damage, but it's not purposeful.
No. So, I challenge anybody, Tony, show me proof. And I'm not talking about some jackass YouTuber that's out there claiming it without proof, without any kind of proof. I'm talking about you show me the proof that what you just described is going on Israel's side. It's not. 2 quick questions for you. If you got a few minutes, let me keep you over for 5 minutes. Liz Goldman, speaking of Israel and these American hostages, do you have any hope that any of those hostages come back? And is Barack and Joe Biden even trying? It's a great question by Liz Goldman, because I don't even think they're trying. They can't even find them. They said that's what Kirby said last week. He said, he was asked about it. He said, we don't even know where these guys are.
No, and you can't see part of the problem. Part of the reason that they took hostages is because we've negotiated with hostages before, and once you start down that negotiating for hostages, it's never going to end. They're going to be hunting down people for hostages from now until eternity. So, yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure. Look, I will say this, buddy. This is just Chris, and I've said this on this show before, and I know it sounds harsh, and this is why Chris is not president of the United States. I'm Tony Branco's good friend. I'm a podcaster that has Tony Branco on once a month, and we talk about these things because it wouldn't do for Chris to be president. But the minute that Hamas shed innocent blood, I'd have been over there fighting with them. I may not have put troops on the ground, but I tell you what, I would have had the Navy bombing the living hell out of Gaza until I tell you what, the second they shed innocent blood of an American citizen, and this was deliberate, and the second they took hostages, they're gone. And at the risk of the hostages, and I tell you why, we learned the hard lesson from Iran. Iran brought this country to its knees for a year and a half under Jimmy Carter and humiliated this nation. And it took Reagan 8 years to get us back to a state in the world that we needed to be, where the world feared us again. I see the same thing happening with this right now. May not be on the same scale, but Hamas is basically putting their middle finger up to America and saying, we're daring you to come get these people. I tell you what, if it was Chris McDonald was president, that challenge would be accepted. And I would guarantee you, when I'm done with him, they'd be eating McDonald hamburgers and French fries for supper, and there'd be a freaking American flag in Ramallah. And I can guarantee you they would not be holding any of my hostages no more, and I would hold them to an account for the blood they've already shed, because there have been Americans killed, Tony, in this conflict.
Well, we held trials after World War II against the Germans for people were put to death for minor
absolutely
problems. So crimes that just helping the people kill people and do some of the atrocities that they did. So we would need to do that again. I don't know where that's going to end up, but I definitely support Israel, and I think that they should continue.
They got to keep on, man. They do.
Keep on them. Yeah, they back down at all. All a ceasefire is allowing Hamas to reload and to regroup so they can throw more rockets at us. And every time that there's a rocket, they need to have a satellite kind of situation where as soon as they see a rocket come from a spot on that map, they need to blow it up.
They need to blow it up, man.
Yeah.
Well, I think yesterday I read that he sent, they had the big Hamas leader cornered. I hadn't heard today what happened, but I just think that all this crap coming from the White House about Israel needs to stand down, and the humanitarian crap from the UN condemned Israel today. Now, America, to its credit, we did not vote for that resolution. Yeah. I was proud of the fact we did not support it. But I'm like you, this is a wishy-washy thing right now. He's playing both ends against the middle. If we don't stand and support Israel, they're coming after us, Tony. I'm telling you, this is it's going to affect us. A couple of quick questions for you. Corey Aguilar, good to see you tonight, dear. Going back to Trump, does he win the key states with everything going on? Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, Florida, Georgia, and Arizona this time. Do you think that he's got enough? I have to say, it was a joke last night, Wednesday night, when they were doing the Republican National Convention. They did a straw poll in my home state of Georgia, and Trump won without even being there. So there is promise down in my home state again that maybe things are turning around down there. But her question is good. Do you think he gets these battleground states this time in 24?
Yes, I do. Right as it stands now, if he's going against Biden, he will clean up. I think there's an underpinning. If you can feel the energy underneath, and that's why the Democrats are so scared.
Oh, they're scared.
They know what the polls are. They know what their internal polls are. Now, the only caveat I'll throw in there is if somebody, and I'm not saying they will win, but if somebody like Michelle Obama,
oh my God,
comes on scene,
I've thought about the same thing.
And the thing is that. And that has a lot of Republicans or people concerned, is that because there's so many bleeding heart people, white people, full of black guilt, and oh Michelle, and all she's going to be is Obama's 4th term.
Pretty much.
That's it.
Pretty much 5th, really, because
it'd be up to Trump or anybody that's running against her, if she does decide to run, to make sure that we establish the fact that this is Obama's 4th term, not his 2nd term. It's not Obama. It's not Michelle's 1st term. It's not his 3rd term. It's his 4th term, because you had Obama for 2 terms. You had then Biden, and then you had a little break there with Trump, which was supposed to be Hillary, and that would have been Obama's 3rd term. But then you got Biden. So all those Obama people swooped in, and they're running the country right now. And if Michelle Obama gets in there, because a lot of people vote emotionally, and if she gets in there, I really, I don't know. I might move to Canada. I might move
look, don't think I haven't given it a thought where Plan B is for me too. Do you think Gavin Newsom has a prayer?
Not as it stands right now. He's destroyed California, and that would be another thing to run on. I mean, DeSantis destroyed him.
He did.
All Trump has to do is do what DeSantis did.
Absolutely.
Pull that poop map.
Absolutely, man. It's great.
This is what he did. Here, everybody.
I know there's a lot of people out there in my audience that don't like DeSantis. I'm not one of them that don't like him. I just don't think it's his time. But I've talked to people in Florida. My son lives in Florida. And every time I visit the grandkids, we talk, and I asked him even this past weekend, and I said, what is your thoughts? And he said, Daddy's a good governor. He's a good governor for our state. And he's been a good governor for Florida. Has he been a perfect governor? No, but he's been a good governor. I just don't think it's his time. But I'm with you. He destroyed Newsom. I was proud of him. And he didn't pull no punches. And he basically did what the Republicans never do. He gave the Democrats a little taste of their own medicine. He basically held up their record and said, this is what you did to your state. This is what I've
you did
done
to your state.
My
only problem with DeSantis is, I'm with you. I don't dislike the guy, but Trump saved his campaign. He went down there. He was trailing this guy, this crackhead, by 20 points. Trump goes down there and he pulls him out, and he gets him the governorship, and then like you said, the thing to do is to show some sense of
loyalty,
gratitude, and loyalty.
I'm with you.
Go to Trump, says, okay, I would like to run. I want to be involved in running. I won't run this time, but I will. But instead, he goes in there, and these commercials scathing Trump. You should be on your knees thanking him, because you would not be governor if it wasn't for Trump. And I think that bothers Trump a lot. Especially when you don't, I think he's hurt. Not only is he not going to be president, I can't say for sure, you know how these things twist and turn, but I think he's hurt himself for the next time he runs.
I do too, Tony. I do, and I think most people, that's conventional wisdom. One final question or two for you. Roger Hooker tonight, going back to these universities, do you think the $100 million donation is enough to get these people's attention, that maybe they've overstepped, or do you think it stays status quo and nothing happens to these kids screaming for genocide of the Jewish people?
I think it's going to hurt. I think it's going to hurt. I mean, it has to be a lot more.
Yeah.
We've been, and then Biden's giving forgiveness to some of these student loans.
Yes.
He has no right to take my money, your money, our tax money, and pay off somebody's loan. He has no right to do that. He has no... I don't get that. Nobody's going to help me pay my college. Do I get a reimbursement for the college tuition? This is the kind of insanity. He's buying votes, and these are the kind of things that he does that are just basically screwing us over. And I'm kind of lost with words. I don't know what track I was going down. Sorry, folks.
I'm with you. I was going down that rabbit hole with you. Final question.
Then I got lost.
Trump, do you, and I think this is an easy softball toss to you, if Trump was in office, I do not believe, and I'm with Ron Clemens on this, that those hostages would have ever been taken in the first place. I do not see Hamas doing this with Trump in office. I do not see it.
Happen. A lot of things wouldn't happen. There would be no war in Ukraine.
That's right.
There would.
That's right.
There's a lot of things that wouldn't be going on. I don't think. Number one, Iran wouldn't have had the money to give to Hamas and Hezbollah and all these satellite Iranian factions, because Trump killed that. Since Biden's been in office, they got $58 billion in oil revenue, because Biden's looking the other way on the black market, and they're selling their oil to China, and while getting rid of our national, strategic reserve.
Yeah.
Selling our strategic reserve to China. Iran's getting rich, selling it to China. And they have all this money to throw at terrorism. Plus, we just gave them another $10 billion. What are these people thinking? This can't be real.
I have no idea, my friend. I think that's the $1 million question, is what are these people thinking? They're not thinking. That's the bottom line. But it's been such a great Friday night with you. I know it's a Friday night. You've taken time out of your family's life to be with me for an hour and 15 minutes, and I deeply appreciate it. I'll see you sometime after the first of the year, and I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Absolutely. From the McFiles family. These folks love you, and I appreciate you much, and I want to send everybody to Tony's website, comicallyincorrect.com. It's one of the best websites. He is the best when it comes to political cartoons. There's other cartoonists out there, but there ain't but one, Branco. And
thank you for letting me vent. I mean, I know I get a little passionate. I'm not as funny as I am on paper.
No, I think you're great. Look, if you talk about venting, Branko, you should see one of my late shows, man. Trust me. I have to watch my language sometimes because I got some virgins in the house, and I have to watch my family connections. But trust me, if McDonald could just let it all hang out for about 30 minutes, you'd say, oh my God, do I want to be back on this guy's show? Because we like to vent here on the McFiles. But listen, let me tell you this. I think when you talk, you're saying what all of us are feeling. And I think that's what people need to hear right now, because there's a lot of people that need to vent. Because we're feeling it, Tony. Look,
it's from the heart.
It's from the heart. People are scared, man, and they're upset. They're mad. And I remember what was the movie Network, the late Peter Finch. I'm mad as hell, and we're not going to take it anymore. I'm going to tell you something. Yeah, absolutely. And there's some people that want to throw some televisions out their window tonight. They are, and they want to throw these politicians out the window too. And we're in the state we're in because of the lack of that. I think we need more venting and more passion. I think the country would be in a different place. Thank you for being with me tonight, man. I appreciate you, and I'll be in touch with you. And have a great Christmas and a great New Year. Tony Branco, everybody. I'll be in touch, my friend.
Thank you, folks. Thanks for hearing me out.
You did great. Have a good night, Tony. Be blessed out there. Chris. Thank you, buddy. Good night. Tony Branco, everybody. We're so grateful to have him. That is one of the best, absolutely the best cartoonists you will ever have grace your internet. And we showed you just a sort of a smattering of his cartoons. He's got a bunch more of them there, and all of them are great. Tony Branco's mild. He said he's more funny on paper. He's pretty funny in person too. I like him. And he's my friend and my dear buddy. And I'm so grateful. I remember the first time I reached out to him, I was holding my breath. I really was. This is a big deal. It's big weight. He's heavyweight. And I said, Lord, please let him say yes to coming on the show. And he did. And I was so tickled. And he's been a regular now for a couple of years now. And he never disappoints. Couldn't have picked a better guest for Friday night. I think it was a perfect end to a week of great guests. We had Victor Avila Monday night. We had Della Stryker Wednesday night about Hanukkah. You had some weird host Thursday night. Last night with a patch on his eye. That patch is gone. Carla Nicole was with us Tuesday night. She rocked the house. So we've had a really good week of shows. And thank you all for participating. Tonight is night 2 of Hanukkah. We want to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah. I understand that the Greater Vision folks and Hymn Sing folks have arrived in Australia. I saw Gerald Wolf post something that's 100 degrees down there. Christmas time. I don't know what they were expecting. It's the southern hemisphere. If it's winter here, it's summer there. It's the outback of Australia, Gerald, for goodness sake. Of course, it's 100 degrees. And, but we're grateful they're down there safe. And if you're in the Australia area, Cleo's on the other side of the world down there. That continent's so big. But they're on the western part, I think in Sydney, for a hymn sing. First ever one ever they've ever done down there. So our prayers for them and so forth. Listen, we didn't interact with you much tonight. Now, what I want you to do, in the next hour and a half, I want you to send me questions, McFilesForum@gmail.com, about anything in the news. We're going to do another little news show. I want to get the cowboy hat on, and we're going to have a late night show, probably. I'm sort of in a wired up mood. I'm feeling a little better tonight than I was last night. That patch on my eye was my eyes were really hurting last night a little bit during the show, but I don't feel that today. Went to the doctor, got a clean report. It's going to just take a week of healing. And I probably should put that patch back on. It scare people. They're already scared of me. Might as well put the patch on and make them really scared. I'm just in a jolly old Christmas mood. I've been in one for a while. And it's going to be a wonderful month. This is the most wonderful time of the year, right? I'll agree with that. It's the most wonderful time of the year, and we're grateful that you've been with us. So if we're going to be back tonight. Now, you say, what time? It depends on two things. If Chris sits down on his sofa and falls asleep, it may be 1 o'clock in the morning. We're going to try not to do that. But no, the Lord willing, 11 o'clock, 10:30ish, 11, because there's James' show is on right now, and I don't want to interfere with his traffic. And I'm going to be on at 11. It's going to be a question and answer, this and that. We won't have a lot of material. I'm going to try to go at least 1 hour is all I'm going to go at 11. But we're going to take questions. We're going to interact with you tonight. So get your questions ready. McFilesForum@gmail.com and so forth. And we'll see you then, okay? We'll see you then with bells on. It's the most wonderful time of the year. I'm just in a happy, jolly mood. I'm just in a happy, jolly mood. I'm going to break out a new Christmas song for you tonight. I'm going to test it out on you. I figure most of you be half asleep, so if it sucks, you ain't going to know whether it sucks or not, because you're going to be half asleep except for the people down under and overseas. So I'm doing it at night to test it out on you to see what the reaction will be. And I figure I'll be safe to do it late tonight. But anyway, Happy Hanukkah! Happy Hanukkah! Happy Hanukkah. No Hanukkah song tonight. Hang on just a second. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to play something else. I wanted to play a Christmas song. And give me a minute as I go out of here, because it is the most wonderful time of the year. It is the most wonderful time of the year tonight. And if I can find my Christmas song, I will play it for you. I can't see without my glasses, so that's what the problem is right now. Let me see if I can find this song that I did with Chris Allman's help. And actually, this is Home for the Holidays. I like this one. I'll play this one tonight. I'll see you tonight later. If you enjoyed Tony, put some fire in that house tonight. And I'll see you later on the McFiles. Have a good night, everybody.
Oh, there's no place like home for the holidays, 'cause no matter how far away you roam, when you pine for the sunshine of a friendly gaze, for the holidays you can't beat home sweet home. I met a man who lives in Tennessee, and he was headed for Pennsylvania and some homemade pumpkin pie. From Pennsylvania, folks are traveling down the Dixie sunny shore. From Atlantic to Pacific, gee, the traffic is, oh, there's no place like home for the holidays. 'cause no matter how far away you roam, if you want to be happy in a million ways, for the holidays you can't beat home sweet home. I met a man who lives in Tennessee, and he was headed for Pennsylvania and some homemade pumpkin pie. From Pennsylvania, folks are traveling down the Dixie sunny shore. From Atlantic to Pacific, gee, the traffic is terrific. Oh, there's no place like home for the holidays, 'cause no matter how far away you roam, if you want to be happy in a million ways, for the holidays you can't beat home sweet home.
Sweet home.
For the holidays you can't beat home sweet home. I'll be home for Christmas. You can count on me. Please have snow and mistletoe and presents on the tree. Christmas Eve will find me where the love light gleams. I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my dreams, if only in my